Dick Vitale, it comes down to the situation of the trade that Red Auerbach made last year. Dennis Johnson, he'll be guarding Sidney Moncrief.
That was a great acquisition for Boston because the one ingredient they needed, Roger, was a stabilizer defensively, especially at the big guard slot. And Dennis Johnson, one of the premier defensive guards in the league, has done a great job neutralizing Moncrief. In fact, Sidney averages over 20 points a game during the season, but against Boston, he averaged 16 points a game.
And shot just 42% from the field, where he usually shoots 50. Some folks say if Milwaukee's going to win a game here, it's going to be this one. They didn't win here during the regular season.
They certainly have an edge emotionally. You got to believe that Boston is absolutely drained after being taken. It was like a Mount Everest off their back after beating New York in 7 games. Number 2, you got to look at the factor of Milwaukee's style of play. 1, they control tempo. They play a ball-controlled basketball offensive game. 2, they do a great job defensively by packing it in, and they hold the opposition to 45% field goal percentage. And 3, they have the physical bodies. Hey, Don Nelson is a winner, and believe me, this club can beat Boston. However, I like Boston.
Milwaukee well-rested their last game Thursday night when they beat New Jersey to advance to the Eastern Conference Final. The Celtics going after their 200th career playoff victory before the 165th consecutive sellout crowd here at the Boston Garden. Let's go back to Greg Gumbel.
Winning just once. That was January the 15th by a score of 106-87. They won it by 19. The Celtics winning the last 4 in a row. Won by the first one of the series by as many as 14 and by as little as 1. The final time they met on April the 10th in Milwaukee, the score was 96-95. John, during that regular season, Marques Johnson was the one doing the bulk of the scoring for the Milwaukee Bucks, averaging more than 22 points a game. Milwaukee Bucks and the Boston Celtics at forward, Marques Johnson and Larry Bird. We know the numbers that Bird has been putting up, but very quietly, Marques Johnson has been having a fine playoff series.
And again, as you mentioned, Greg, against the Boston Celtics this year, Johnson has done very well. The bad thing for him, as was for Bernard King, Johnson will have to guard Larry Bird. It will not be that way on the other end.
At the other forward, Alton Lister gets the start for the Bucks against Cedric Maxwell. Lister averaging 6 points a game, Maxwell 9.5 points and 5 boards.
But Maxwell very good this year, more than his season average scoring-wise against Milwaukee. Lister will take Bird down low. That's part. Bird will be guarding Lister. That's part of their philosophy.
At center, as we said earlier, Bob Lanier having his healthiest year in many a year, going against Robert Parish. Lanier 13.9 points a game, Parish 15.8 and 11 rebounds.
Milwaukee is going to be ready for Parish to run a lot. Boston's going to try and run Lanier into the ground. This is an important game for Lanier because 48 hours from now they meet again, and this has to be a good one.
At the guard, Sidney Moncrief for Milwaukee, averaging almost 20 points a game. DJ averaging better than 15.5 points a game in the playoffs.
The reason Boston got Johnson was for Andrew Toney purposes and Sidney Moncrief. There's no more Toney to worry about, so this is a big, big matchup, and one of the main things that Johnson has to do to prove his worth to Boston is stop and contain Moncrief.
At the point guard, a real find for the Bucks late in the season, and Mike Dunleavy for Boston, Gerald Henderson, who is scoring more than 11 points a game.
And also, well, Dunleavy, of course, is long-range bombing. That's his forte. But look for Paul Pressey to come in, and he will give Henderson a lot of trouble in the backcourt because of his size.
The bench players, the big one for Milwaukee is Junior Bridgman, who scores 14 a game. Kevin McHale scoring 16 points a game and grabbing more than 7.5 rebounds. But the thing about Milwaukee's bench, John, there are an awful lot of bodies to come off of there and throw at the Celtics.
There are 5 of them, 6'10" or better, and that's a lot of bulk, as the Nets found out. McHale has not killed Milwaukee because of that. McHale can't come in and bang people around as easy as he can against other teams, so this will be a very interesting challenge for him. Buckner, look for him. He's been playing very well lately, and Ainge got some confidence against the Knicks, too.
The head coaches for tonight's game for Milwaukee, Don Nelson, the ex-Celtic, and for the Boston Celtics, it is K.C. Jones. Let's talk about the key players for tonight's game.
Thank you very much, Greg, and welcome, everybody. One thing that Dick Vitale and I are not looking forward to are a lot of fouls, and we had that in the Milwaukee-New Jersey series. As a matter of fact, the Bucks commit 197 fouls against the Nets. That's an NBA playoff record for 6 games. They did that for a good reason, though, Dick.
Roger, that was their game plan. It was part of their strategy because New Jersey was the worst free throw shooting team in the NBA. However, when you look at the Celtics, I can't believe that that can be part of Don Nelson's plan, because the Celtics, as we look at Nelly sitting on the sideline, the Celtics have shot 79.8% for the year statistically, and we look at K.C. Jones, and when you look at Nelson and you look at K.C. Jones, they certainly are 2 guys that are steeped in Boston tradition.
Oh, they are. And also the Milwaukee organization, Wayne Embry, a former Celtic and one-time general manager, now a consultant with the Milwaukee Bucks, Lister and Parish. Burlstrom, Paul McHale, the officials, and the tap will be controlled. Marques Johnson, Dunleavy, Moncrief, Lanier, and Alton Lister for the Milwaukee Bucks. Henderson, DJ, Maxwell, Robert Parish, and Larry Bird. Bird matching up on Alton Lister. Traveling call.
Traveling violation, but they didn't waste any time trying to go to Lister, trying to get him into the flow of the game offensively, especially with Bird playing him. Remember, Larry gives away 2 or 3 inches against Lister, and I look for them to attack Bird immediately.
Don Nelson told us before the game there were several different ways you could play Bird, and one was to go right at him, and apparently that is what they're going to do. The scoop won't go, and Moncrief comes up with it. Sidney averaging 4 points less per game against the Celtics and not shooting the ball nearly as well as Lanier misses, and Dennis Johnson comes on with it. DJ with the bad shoulder. Dunleavy across the timeline. Moncrief wide open from 20. Nobody can get it down. Henderson back to Johnson, knocked out by Lister. Will be Celtics basketball.
It's a feeling out process right now, Roger. The tempo of the game, Boston certainly likes the pace of the play as they're going up and down the floor. Milwaukee wants to play at that half-court game.
Henderson misses. A lot of goose eggs so far. No score, just underway. Boston Garden, first game of the Eastern Conference Final between the Milwaukee Bucks. Dunleavy, three-point land. He had hit 5 of 6 against the Celtics coming into this game. Lanier, he misses. Maxwell, and it counts. And Lanier complaining that he took a shot below the belt.
Excellent transition basketball, typical Boston Celtics style. Watch the judgment in transition as we look at the ball is kicked to Maxwell. Good play by Henderson. We don't see the play. Lanier's, I guess he wanted a charge on that play.
Bob is bending over, catching his breath right now is what he's doing as Maxwell goes to the line. Max averages on the season about 14 points a game against the Milwaukee Bucks. He's done a good job against Milwaukee, scoring a lot of points, more than his seasonal average, as the Celtics giving some full court pressure right now.
They want to apply pressure full court, Roger, to try and speed up the tempo of the game. Anytime you put full court pressure, it makes a team play at a faster pace.
Moncrief posting up on Dennis Johnson. Dunleavy, the heavily taped left thigh. 3 on the shot clock. Lanier will get the shot off, and Milwaukee has yet to hit. They have missed their first 5 shots.
They got a good shot right there. Look at Lanier out in transition. He says, hey, I'm like magic. Look at me move. 6'11", about 265, and he takes it coast to coast.
Loose ball on the floor. Moncrief comes up with it. Bird's going to make sure he doesn't get up. Boy, this has been sloppy so far. 3-2, Celtics lead it with 9:49 left to go. First period, Don Nelson calls out a play. Celtics have won 12 straight here at the Boston Garden.
They want to post Marcus down inside on Maxwell. Maxwell really plays good denial defense on a post.
3 on the shot clock. And in as the 24-second clock expires.
Tremendous hang time by Marques Johnson. Gets the good angle on the drive, hangs, lays it, and kisses it off the glass.
Lister guarding Maxwell. Offensive foul called on Cedric Maxwell.
Earl Strom right on the call.
Dick, you know, foul shooting was a real key in the regular series where Boston won 5 of 6. The Celtics had 7 fewer field goals. They only shot 46% from the floor, Milwaukee 49. Celtics took 43 more free throws. They made 36 more as Milwaukee takes a 20-second timeout.
Boston with their great front court, they're going to go to their interior people, and whenever you go to your interior people and you play a good inside attacking game, Roger, you're going to create foul opportunities, and that's what happened in the series where Boston won 5 out of 6 games against Milwaukee.
There you see Don Nelson, 4th playoff, and of course, he's been to this Eastern Conference Championship Series before.
There's all kinds of rumors that Nelly may step aside after this year, and I was teasing him before the game, and he said, Dick, the pressures today are unbelievable, and he may go to the front office as a general manager, and I'm going to lay a scoop on you.
Okay.
If he goes to the front office as a general manager, do you want the next coach of the Milwaukee Bucks?
If anybody knows, you do, Dick.
It's not going to be Dick Vitale, and I'd love to coach Johnson and Moncrief. I couldn't screw those two guys up, but I'm going to tell you this. I think it's going to be one of his scouts, Del Harris, the former coach of Houston. Nelly has great respect for Harris's knowledge.
Parish with the steal off Lanier. Lanier chasing from behind. He'll just give up on it. Let Parish get the easy two. There's a couple of big 7-footers moving down the floor. I hope we don't see the type of play we saw in the New York-Boston series on the breakaways, guys being tackled from behind.
We said that's a no-no. I thought they should possibly reevaluate that rule. If a guy's tackled and he's in the open court, give him the basket and possession of the basketball.
Foul's going to be on Dennis Johnson, reaching in from behind. First foul on DJ.
DJ has the bad shoulder, Roger, but they're not counting on him for any kind of offensive productivity. They want him on the floor to neutralize the great scoring talents of Moncrief.
And an offensive foul whistled by Paul McHale. Foul was on Dunleavy, away from the basketball. Milwaukee, 2 of 7 so far from the floor. Celtics, 2 of 5.
Both clubs really haven't executed their half-court game or their transition game with any kind of efficiency.
Maxwell on top. That gets the big 6'11" Lister away from the hoop. Henderson open on the side. He hits it. And the foul.
Excellent offensive play in that series. Tremendous pass by Dennis Johnson to set the open jump shot up for Henderson. Larry Bird trying to get free. He moves well without the basketball. Look at him try to run his man off a screen. Forces a mismatch. Comes off a double screen. But now watch Henderson pop out. Bird was almost responsible for that shot being open because of his presence and his movement and motion on the floor.
Henderson completes the three-point play. Foul was on Alton Lister. 8-4 Boston with the lead. 8:13 to go in opening period. Marques Johnson with the basketball guarded by Maxwell. The pick set by Lister frees Marques up. He misses it, and Parish the rebound. Knocked out of bounds, and it'll be Boston basketball. Parish really set the tempo, Dick, for Boston during the regular season, getting over 11 rebounds a game. As on the offensive boards, that's where the Celtics really did the job on Milwaukee.
They dominated them on the offensive glass. I believe they out-rebounded by 28 offensive rebounds.
Whistle outside, called by Earl Strom. And not only are you seeing the best basketball players in the world, you're seeing the best officials in these games, too. Foul was on Marques Johnson outside. That's his first.
It's very important for both of these clubs to try and establish some kind of center play from Lanier and Parish early in a game.
Bird, the fall-away shot, in and out, and Lister the rebound. They really isolated Bird on that side, tried to free him up. Marques Johnson does a very good job on Larry Bird, denying him the basketball. Lister. Loose ball foul underneath, and it's going to be on Robert Parish over the back of Sidney Moncrief.
Roger, once again, they go down into the interior, down inside to Lister, and Lister shoots the jump shot. They're attacking Larry Bird. There's Lister shooting the jumper, and now we'll see the climb into the back. There's Parish. One thing happens when you change your style of play. Sometimes it takes away from your rhythm offensively by going to a guy like Lister, who's not their normal option.
Moncrief with a left hand misses. He collides with Marques Johnson. Lanier from 16 feet, in and out. And the foul's going to be on Moncrief as he gave Dennis Johnson the shove from behind. First foul on Sidney. All 5 starters for the Milwaukee Bucks with 1 foul.
It's very obvious that Don Nelson's game plan is to establish Lister and Lanier early in the game. Bob has shot the ball quite a bit, and that's not his normal pattern. In fact, during the year, he only averaged 9 shots a game.
Junior Bridgman will check in at the next opportunity as Parish gets a handle on it, puts up a tough shot, misses it. Dunleavy will come up with the rebound.
The reason it was a tough shot, they doubled down on him, and they made a tough angle for him to get up the square and shoot the jumper.
Dunleavy, he's got the lane, takes it and hits. Mike Dunleavy, a tremendous late season acquisition by the Milwaukee Bucks. Delay of game call against Milwaukee.
It was a great acquisition going down in the stock market and getting him. I'll tell you one thing, he's not a Dow Joneser. He's not an up and downer. He's a consistent player.
Timeout on the floor, 6:48 left to go. Opening period, Celtics lead the Bucks. Sluggish start, 8-6. Roger Twyble, Dick Vitale back with you. You can see what Larry Bird has done during the regular season, the playoffs. He's picked up his point production, his assist production, rebounds down a little bit, and his percentage of the offense, Dick, has increased dramatically in the playoffs.
Roger, we're going to show his percentage involved in his chart. Wherever you see a Bird, that indicates Larry Bird has taken a shot. We can see he has missed 2 shots, 2 opportunities. 43 indicates that Henderson was open for a shot and missed the shot on a pass from Bird. What we're going to try to establish is to show his percentile that he's involved in the offense, totaling his points and his assists. And if he totals over 40 percentile of the offense, you can almost be guaranteed that Red Auerbach will light up a cigar and there'll be another win in the Boston Garden.
Bird against the Milwaukee Bucks in the regular season, 21 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. But what he did against the New York Knicks, over 30 points, over 10 rebounds, and over 7 assists. And we got to see 2 outstanding players in Larry Bird and Bernard King square off in that 7-game set.
Roger, we saw the 2 premier forwards in basketball. When you talk about Bernard King and Larry Bird, I've said time and time again, they were my choices in the corners as the all-pro selections, but I don't think there's any doubt who's the MVP of basketball. I've said it from day one, and I'm not changing. Consistency, it has to go to Larry Bird, who excels in every phase of the game. Shoot it, pass it, rebound it, and play defense.
Junior Bridgman in the game right now, and he'll be guarding Larry Bird as Bob Lanier has sat down. And Bridgman, he averages over 17 points a game against the Boston Celtics. Bird in the lane, and he hits it. Now, there's a mismatch. He's got 4 inches on Junior Bridgman.
Bird recognized the size differential immediately and takes the ball right into the paint in the 3-second area for a good shot. He has a tendency, you really have to question his shot selection, Larry, at times.
Traveling violation on Moncrief. He had turned the ball over. He was looking for Dunleavy. They called the travel. 5 turnovers now on the Milwaukee Bucks.
Nelson told me he's going to play 4 guys on Larry Bird. He's going to rotate some people with size like Catchings. He's going to play people like Bridgman who are smaller just to give him a different look so he never can establish a rhythm.
Bird, the turnaround. Look at that shot over Junior Bridgman. Larry Bird, his second hoop.
He's immediately going to have to get Junior Bridgman off him. That's one dimension that they're going to take out of their arsenal because he'll just shoot it over him all day.
Bridgman, who hits 54% of his shots against the Celtics. The steal by Henderson as they tried to swing it. Moncrief reached in to stop it. Cross court to Dennis Johnson. Wide open from 18. Oh, Lister cleared house on Maxwell. No call. And Marques Johnson behind the back will bring it across the timeline. The finger roll. That could have been basket interference by Lister. No call. And they'll bring it the other way with Gerald Henderson. Maxwell's got Dunleavy on him. He turns into Lister and puts it up and in.
Cedric Maxwell certainly has made a career of posting down on the interior with the long arms. The great first step to the goal. He just doesn't, I guess there are not enough of shots to get him the kind of offense you'd like to get, Cedric, with Bird and McHale and Parish on the floor.
Maxwell with 5 points. Milwaukee has missed 7 of their last 8 shots. Bridgman steps back over Bird. In and out. Lister, the offensive rebound. Whoa! Lister just about took Gerald Henderson's head off. And the foul's going to be called on Gerald Henderson. And Henderson standing there. This guy's 6'11", Dick. What's going on?
Dennis Johnson trying to beat Moncrief to the. Look at him denying him down inside. Watch number 3. Look at the elbow right in Moncrief's throat. I mean, he is locked on him on the boxes.
Whistle underneath. Foul called by Earl Strom.
Roger, we were watching Dennis Johnson fronting before, playing in front of Sidney Moncrief. Whenever we use the terminology, he's fronting him. He's playing between him and the basketball, but he's playing in front of him defensively.
Milwaukee with 4 offensive rebounds, but no conversion so far. Celtics with no offensive boards as they go inside to Marques, and he slipped away from Larry Bird.
Marques did a great job of sealing off the defensive player, gets good inside position, demonstrates his great strength on the interior. He's a multi-dimensional kind of player. Marques Johnson can play on the defensive end and the offensive end.
Bird backing in on Bridgman. There's the bounce pass inside. Maxwell finally comes up with it, stripped away by Dunleavy, and the foul's going to be on number 10, Mike Dunleavy. That will be his second, and the Milwaukee Bucks' 4th team foul. There's a good look at Don Nelson.
Bird right now has got a mismatch, but he recognizes the open Maxwell inside, tries to drill the bounce pass. Lister comes over, lays some body on Maxwell, and there's Dunleavy reaching in on his hand.
Cedric Maxwell so far in the playoffs, 9.5 points, 5 rebounds, and from the foul line, Max shooting 69%, and game 7, big on the boards with 7 rebounds.
He also did a great job Sunday of bodying up on Bernard King.
Yeah,
certainly did a tremendous job early in the game. Remember, in all fairness to Marques Johnson and Bernard King, they have to play on the offensive end and do their job, as well as on a defensive end guard the talents of a Larry Bird. And Larry doesn't have that. He has the luxury of playing on the off-court.
They were looking the alley-oop that time to Sidney Moncrief. The foul's going to be on Dennis Johnson, his second. And Quinn Buckner and Kevin McHale will check into the game right now for the Boston Celtics. Maxwell will sit down.
Watch the give and go. Moncrief gives the ball up. He catches Johnson staring. Doesn't have any vision of the ball. They try to throw the lob over the top. Dennis Johnson made a no-no. Never had vision of the basketball. Defensively, Roger, you want your player to see the ball and his man at all times. They're not playing the guy that has the ball.
Sidney Moncrief has been to the foul line over 100 times in the playoffs. Shooting 78%.
He's a slasher. He's the kind of guy that's going to take the ball down inside. You saw him with the 16 points in his last performance against the Nets. His value on the club is not just scoring. Remember, he was the league's most outstanding defensive player for 1983-84.
And Kevin McHale, the man with the ball, the sixth man for the 1983-84 season. Bird. McHale, the offensive board, misses. Parish loses it. Buckner gets it back. Scrambling, Quinn Buckner comes away with it.
Buckner's a gutty player, a winner. He's got all the intangibles to give you some solid defense from the backcourt slot.
Lister matched up on Parish right now. The Chief from outside, tipped by DJ. That was still on the rim, and Paul Mahalik outside says count it. Basket credited to Dennis Johnson.
Excellent call by Paul Mahalik. The trail official had the good look, the good angle on it. Dennis Johnson waves that hand. I mean, he wanted that deuce because he knows he's not a great perimeter shooter, and any basket he can get, he wants.
Dennis Johnson has been struggling from the field, shooting just 40% so far in the playoffs.
Yet he can play for most people because of his presence defensively on the floor.
Buckner guarding Dunleavy. The left-hand scoop blocked by Parish. And that's one thing the Boston Celtics do so well, and one thing they did against the Knicks, they blocked a lot of shots.
Rejection city when you try to take it in a paint against the front line of Kevin McHale and Robert Parish. Parish says, Dunleavy, you're not taking this in here. This is not the stock market, Dunleavy. This is the NBA. Get it out of the paint.
Bob Lanier is checked back in the game for the Milwaukee Bucks. And Marques Johnson will sit down. So Bridgman still matched up on Bird with Lister on McHale. Buckner working off the pick by Bird. Hits! Quinn Buckner.
He has a nice little jump shot when he shoots it stationary. Very rare would you see him putting it to the floor like that, coming off the screen and shooting the jumper.
But he's playing against his former teammates. Quinn Buckner, a member of the Milwaukee Bucks for 5 years before coming over to Boston to trade for Dave Cowens.
He was a very vital part of the Milwaukee Bucks at that point guard slot during their big number days.
Lister. And the foul's going to be on Kevin McHale. And you see McHale agreed with referee Earls. I think that's the first time I've ever seen Kevin McHale agree with an official.
Kevin McHale, certainly one of the happy-go-lucky. I mean, he is full of quotes. I thought Vital was verbose. This guy eats me alive.
He's been listening to you, Dick. I can tell that. Bucks take a timeout. 2:22 to go in the first. Boston 29. Roger Twabo, Dick Vitale, and that's the last time Boston won the World Championship in 1981 when they defeated the Houston Rockets, and of course they are looking for number 15 to hang from the rafters here at the Boston Garden. Larry Bird has played in the playoffs every year that he has been in the National Basketball Association. You can see what he did in years past. Over 20 points, less than 6 assists, over 12 rebounds. This year, Dick, he's really picked up his point production. His rebounds have fallen off while he's shooting 56% from the floor. In past years, 45% coming into the season.
Also, as we look at the turnover ratio, 7 for Milwaukee, 3 for Boston, he has another dimension on the floor with this team. They do not have the true legitimate point guard, creator, and passer on the floor.
Like a Tiny Archibald they had in years past.
Right, exactly. A good analysis. They don't have Tiny out there to run the break and do things offensively from the point guard slot, so they utilize Bird as a passer on the floor, and he plays out in the open court a little more than he did in the past.
Paul Pressey has checked into the game now for the Milwaukee Bucks. He's a valuable man in the backcourt for head coach Don Nelson, very aggressive defensive player. And Alton Lister at the foul line.
Pressey has the long arms. Defensively, he gives you a solid performance. He also knows his limitations. He's a solid player, and I think he's just going to become a real, true NBA performer in the future years. He's just learning the trade his second year in the league.
Dick, Milwaukee shooting just 23%, 4 of 17 from the floor, and they've turned it over 7 times. Bird breaks free underneath. He gets a pass from DJ, misses it. And Larry, a grimace on his face. He said, gosh darn, as he ran by.
He got open again with outstanding movement without the basketball. That's really a lost art by a lot of players.
Moncrief, strong move inside, follows his own miss. One more time, McHale comes down with it. Trying to get it out to Bird. Pressey intercepted it. The Bird got it back. Buckner pushes it up to Dennis Johnson. He'll take it from 18. Misses. And McHale got locked in that time by Lister. Wasn't able to chase the ball down as Pressey will bring it up court. Bridgman. Foul's going to be on Quinn Buckner. And that is his first. Checking in now for the Milwaukee Bucks will be Paul McKeskey, and Cedric Maxwell will come back in for the Boston Celtics.
McKeskey, one of the most improved big men in terms of a backup player. He has really improved and has become a quality player who's given him quality minutes on the floor.
McKeskey, a 7-footer, and as Dick likes to say, you can't teach 7 feet. He was originally drafted by Del Harris down in Houston, a 3rd-round pick from the University of Kansas. He was the first 7-footer to play at Kansas since Wilt Chamberlain. He's kind of proud of that distinction.
Nelly was telling me earlier tonight that the reason he went after McKeskey was through the comments of Del Harris, also getting Dunleavy. Dunleavy was recommended strongly as we look at Bridgman's stats in Game 6 versus the Nets. He also recommended Dunleavy, who he had on that Houston team that played against Bill Fitch's championship Celtic club in '81.
Of course, Fitch now coaching the Houston Rockets, who are in line to get either Hakeem Olajuwon or Michael Jordan. Whistle, foul's going to be on Bob Lanier. Dick, let me ask you a question about Lanier. Against the Celtics, shoots 60% from the floor against Boston, but only gets 5 rebounds a game.
He doesn't shoot enough. You mentioned his statistics, 60%. He's not getting as many shots as I think he should shoot on the floor. There's Bob reaching in. As soon as you stick that hand, he said, wait a minute, I'm a 14-year veteran, Earl Strom. You can't call that on me. I just stuck my hand out.
Perry shooting just 66% from the free throw line in the playoffs. He's got 3 points.
You mentioned rebounding out of Bob in terms of the statistics. He is not a great rebounder. I mean, he is not statistically, especially now in the latter part of his career, what you would call a guy that's going to go laterally for rebounds. He gives you a lot of muscle on the court, a lot of size. I think he's got to shoot the ball 14, 15 times a game.
Pressey sends it out top to Lanier. Bridgman takes it to the hole. The left-handed in by Junior Bridgman. Bridgman has 4 points.
He has really improved his art of driving the basketball. We know he's a good stationary jump shooter.
Danny Ainge has checked into the game for the Celtics. McHale working the baseline. He gets trapped underneath. And it's going to be Boston basketball. Ainge has played fairly well against Milwaukee. Even though it's limited duty, he has shot 60% from the floor. Last year in one of the playoff games, he scored 23 points in the first half, and then Don Nelson made a few choice comments about Danny.
He felt the wrath of Don Nelson. Nelson's a great motivator like that. He picks a player to go after. Great motivational, psych, part of coaching. He went after Michael Ray Richardson in the New Jersey series just to try and take a guy out of his rhythm.
He said Ainge was a cheap shot artist last year.
He learned that from the master, Red Auerbach, how to utilize the press as a way of getting his players to play.
22-15, Celtics with the lead, 3 on the shot clock. Bridgman, the line drive. McKeskey tips it out. Pressey gets it. And in with 25 seconds left to go in the period.
Pressey with a good drive to the goal. He has the long arms. Paul Pressey's not a good long-range shooter, not a great ball handler, but he's the kind of player, a complimentary player who does so many good things, Roger, that you need him on your club if you're going to win.
10 seconds left to go in the opening 12 minutes of play for the Boston Garden. First game of the Eastern Conference Championship Series. Ainge dropping it off to Parish. Pressey, though, picked it up. And no basket.
Excellent defense by Milwaukee in their half-court defensive set, but Danny Ainge made a no-no by leaving his feet offensively and then trying to make the pass.
Low scoring first period from the Boston Garden. Celtics lead at 22-17 after 1.
Important and vital to Don Nelson. Number one, his club has been rested. There's Greg Kite from Brigham Young, who made my all-airport team. He said, Dick, I'm going to start getting some PT playing time, and you're going to have to take me off that all-airport team.
You're talking about Nelson. Get back to basketball.
Nelly, Roger, you made me lose my thought right there when I saw Greg Kite.
You're talking about an important game for Don Nelson this first game.
Very important because emotionally, Boston, as we talked about, had to be flying high after getting Mount Everest off their back in terms of losing to, there's Nelly now talking and preaching, and look at the field goal percentage. And number two, they're a rested basketball team. Therefore, they're primed for this game, and this should be a little edge for them, with Boston having the edge naturally playing here in Boston.
Both teams with 8 defensive boards, but the Milwaukee Bucks 7 offensive rebounds as they've out-rebounded Boston 15-11. McHale inside for the easy 2.
Tremendous isolation. That play was set up by Casey Jones during the timeout. They isolate Kevin McHale inside, and he demonstrates his flexibility by taking it right to the goal.
Lanier, McKeskey, Moncrief, Bridgman, and Pressey. Small lineup. The runner by McKeskey, and Bird comes down with it. Bird, McHale, Maxwell, Buckner, and Ainge. Danny Ainge comes up with a loose ball, will take the jumper from the side, and Bridgman the rebound.
Celtics have a quick lineup on the floor with McKeskey and Lanier. They do not have the kind of speed, Milwaukee, to get into a transition game with Boston.
McHale guarding Lanier. He's going to take Kevin inside. Double teamed by Buckner. Back into Big Dopper. Won't go, and McHale gets the rebound. Good dive defensively by Kevin McHale. Ainge will push it up to Bird on the wing. Inside to Maxwell. And the foul is going to be on Junior Bridgman.
Perfect execution in their running game. They run the ball up the middle of the court, get it to the sideline to where Larry Bird has the good angle to try and dump it to Maxwell, who's locking down in the box. They run it up to Larry Bird. Now he has that good 45-degree angle for the bounce pass into Maxwell, locking down inside, and Bridgman comes over and fouls.
The foul is going to be on Paul McKeskey. Cedric Maxwell can show you more moves. He can get the ball up to the basket from any position. He can sit in the stands and get it up as long as there's a foul on the play.
That's why he's been called the rubber man since he came out of North Carolina, Charlotte, where he carried the 49ers to the NCAA Final Four when they lost to Al McGuire and Marquette in 1977 in Atlanta.
And of course, that was the year that the Titans of Detroit went into Milwaukee and knocked off Marquette, wasn't it?
We beat them, no, we beat them in 78, the year they won the national champion. No, it might have been 77, 78. I lost track, Roger. That's too many years ago. Let me just say this. I cherish the moment of beating one of my idols, Al McGuire.
Whistle in the backcourt. Foul's going to be on Quinn Buckner. That is his second. Casey Jones telling Dick and I before the game, glad to be out of that New York series.
He was glad to get New York out of the way because he knew that he was in an absolute war.
Cross court, Maxwell intercepts the pass. Ainge, and in.
Good decision by Cedric Maxwell. He knows he's not a guard. He pulls up with the basketball, looks for a guard, kicks it off to Danny Ainge. They're trapping all over the court to try and create tempo. They're putting a lot of pressure on the ball. Ainge is playing very intense, and he looks like that ankle injury is a thing of the past.
He was fined $750 today for that altercation with the Knicks. Pressey inside, strong move with 2 on the shot clock. Paul Pressey.
Good athletic ability. I liked him when I saw him play for Nolan Richardson in Tulsa in the NIT. You could just see that he was an athlete that can do a lot of things for your basketball team.
27-19, Celtics with the 8-point lead. Biggest lead has been 11. Now Pressey matched up on Bird with the double team with Bridgman, and they're going to get the illegal defense call.
The one difference in Larry Bird and a lot of great superstars, there's a technical. Strom bangs him immediately. One thing about Earl Strom, he will have control of the basketball game. I think the greatest compliment was Red Auerbach after the game in New York. He said, hey, you can say what you want about officiating, but when Earl Strom is blowing the whistle, he is in command.
Technical on Don Nelson. Larry Bird will shoot it.
I was talking about the double team and Larry Bird, Roger. Most superstars, to try and get the ball out of their hands, you'll double team them, forcing them to get the ball and give it up. In the case of Larry Bird, when you double team him, he has such great ability to see over the top of the trap and to find the open man that he makes you pay for that double team.
We have got the third different player guarding Bird now. Pressey is in there. Look at Bird break off the pick. Maxwell the offensive rebound. Maxwell tiptoes the baseline, the hook, and Lanier has it knocked loose, and the foul is going to be on Quinn Buckner. And on Buckner, that is his third.
Bob is very active on the floor here tonight, and he's had a great year. He's missed only 10 games. He's played 29 productive minutes. Watch Bob inside. I mean, is he holding a little bit? I mean, he's hooking him, beating him to a spot defensively.
I'm going to tell you one thing. McHale's going to have a headache by the time this game's over.
Jeff Rulin said he's the doctor of the hole, is what he called Bob Lanier.
Marques Johnson checks into the game, and Moncrief is going to get a rest. You know, Marques said that Bird's one of the great players of all time, and he says, when I'm matched up with him, I know he's going to have, if not a great game, he's going to have a good game. So there's really nothing you can do.
I don't think that's too way off Wall saying he's one of the great players of all time. Thank you, Marcus.
And Pressey hits from outside.
That really shocks me. Pressey shooting the 17-footer.
Long pass to McHale. He gets it back to Henderson, who's thinking about it. Now he moves to three-point land. Back into McHale, who loses it off his foot. Just over 9 minutes to go. First half, Pressey. And traveling called on Marques Johnson.
That's an example where you have the numbers your way, 3-on-2, and you come up empty-handed because you don't have that true point guard who can create like an Isaiah Thomas or a Maurice Cheeks and finish off the play on the other end of the floor.
Milwaukee's turned it over 9 times so far. McKeskey on Maxwell. Trying to flash Henderson on the baseline. He moves outside now to leave Bird in there. But what a pass to Ainge, the left-handed in.
Tremendous recognition by Larry Bird. The ball goes to the wing. He spots Danny Ainge cutting to the goal because Ainge's man wants to double up on Larry Bird. He said, double team, forget it. I'll make you pay.
Ainge shoots 60% against Milwaukee. The foul underneath as McKeskey went up. It's going to be on Larry Bird. I asked Ainge before the game why he seems to, play a little bit better against Milwaukee. I don't really know. He says, maybe I get a few more minutes against them. And of course, that's what every player says, that the more, as Dick Vitale would say, PT.
Paul McKeskey told us that today. When I was talking to Paul, you and I said, you're having a pretty good finish. The first thing he said, I'm having a good finish toward the end of the year, Dick, because I'm getting PT. They love those two letters, PT, the players.
He's also a free agent.
He made us know that, too. He said, I'm a free agent.
McKeskey hits the 2 free throws, and it's 30-23, 7-point Celtic lead. Looking inside to Maxwell. Marcus guarding Bird.
Celtics are a great passing team. That's another one of their great parts of their game.
Blocked by Marques Johnson. It's going to be off Bird, and Marcus showed you some very good defensive work that time. He didn't go for any of the fakes that Larry Bird laid on him.
He had excellent timing, and he had excellent use of his legs, his tremendous strength of his body, and he gets up to block the shot. Marcus trying to deny with the free hand. Now Larry catches the basketball, has him on his hip. Marcus hand checking. Now he beats him to the spot. Excellent timing. He's just a great player, Marques Johnson also.
Miss inside, and Maxwell comes away with the rebound. Bird in the middle, touch pass to Henderson, back to Maxwell, and in.
Is that unselfish basketball? That's a clinic in how to run the break. Finding the open man, moving the basketball, putting the defense under pressure. Started by Larry Bird in the middle of the court.
Cedric Maxwell now with 10 points, and he is the leading scorer for the Boston Celtics. And you notice the ball never touched the floor in that fast break.
Bird again with great inside position.
Bad pass by Ainge, but he got lucky because it was touched by Milwaukee.
Bird demonstrates another great quality that you do not have to be a great jumper and a tremendous leaper to be an outstanding rebounder. Just get good, solid inside position on the defensive player, and you're an offensive player, and you're in great shape to rebound.
Parish, Dennis Johnson checked back in the game, and McHale with the whistle. Foul's going to be on Henderson.
Nelson was a street fighter as a player. He was a physical kind of player on the interior when he wore the Boston Celtic uniform. And his team reflects his personality. There's no doubt in my mind that they reflect Nelson's personality.
No call as McKeskey got nailed. Dunleavy outside. He misses. He's just checked back in. Parish releases to DJ. 3-on-1 to Henderson and in.
Timeout.
And it counts, and he's fouled.
They also need a timeout to break this rhythm. The Celtics have that running game going, Roger. They're releasing people, and they're putting tremendous pressure on the Milwaukee defense.
Foul on Dunleavy, his third.
Notice how they're coming at you in all kinds of ways. He had a choice. He could have given it to Bird or Henderson. He finds Henderson for the layup.
Timeout on the floor. Garden crowd. Standing ovation for the Celtics as they've moved out to an 11-point lead with 6:54 to go in the half. What this graphic shows is during the regular season, the Celtics with 7 fewer field goals, they shot just 46% compared to 49 for Milwaukee, but the Celtics with 36 more free throws, and the Bucks, who were the best defensive team, giving up the rest of the NBA just 101 points a game. gave up 108 to the Celtics.
The reason for the differential in terms of free throw shooting, as we talked about earlier, Boston likes to go down into their inside people, into McHale, into Parish, Maxwell, and also Bird, and they present a lot of problems, and they're going to go to the foul line and create free throw shooting opportunities.
K.C. Jones, Jimmy Rogers, and of course Chris Ford, the coaching staff for the Boston Celtics, and Mike Schuler, Gary St. Jean, the assistants for Don Nelson, and Del Harris, his scout here. K.C. Jones has been to the playoffs every year he's been a head coach in the NBA, and he's got a 20-20 playoff record.
Last year when this club was swept by Milwaukee 4-0, remember this basketball team was not playing good basketball at the end of the year. They were having a few problems. Players were moaning and groaning. They're a happy basketball team, and I attribute that a lot to K.C. Jones on that sideline. But not to take what Bill Fitch has done, because he did a great job when he was there with Boston. But sometimes, Roger, there comes a time a change is needed.
6 points, 4 assists for Gerald Henderson. Lanier down low as the Boston front court has outscored the Milwaukee front court 21-8 as Parish knocks it loose. It'll be Milwaukee basketball with 7 on the shot clock. And once again, Milwaukee just 2 of 8, Dick. Is it the Celtics' good defense, or is Milwaukee just missing open shots?
Milwaukee has missed some good open shots, but also Boston's doing a great job packing it in, taking driving angles away. And look at the help, and that's creating a lot of problems. They're giving a lot of help to one another defensively.
That time, Henderson got a piece of it. They thought it hit a Milwaukee player, but it's going to be Bucks basketball.
Larry Bird is probably the best defensive player in the NBA on the front court when he's playing off the basketball in help position. He anticipates, he reads well. Now, if he has to play head-to-head on the ball, he's not as effective.
Lanier has just not been getting a shot down. He has been shooting from way outside.
He's getting good shots, though. Those are normal. Normally, they're going to go in for Bob, and he's getting good shots, and he's into the game offensively. He's just not getting the ball to fall, but that will happen.
He's just 1 of 6 from the floor. And the Bucks now 2 of 9 in this period as Bird leans in. Marcus might have got a piece of that. Bird chases it down, and they get a new 24. Parish is in that lane. He was parked in there for a long time, and Earl Strom saw it.
Bird does a great job of placing the ball above his head and always has vision on the interior. Just always has the ability, has that great peripheral vision seeing the entire court.
Maxwell commits the foul in the backcourt. That's the 3rd foul on Cedric. There's 6:03 to go in the half. 14th foul of the Boston Celtics.
Cedric said no more predictions. I'm not going to talk about that. Mr. King is not going to get 40.
Didn't he say that Marcus is a better player than Bernard in many ways? He was complimenting Marques Johnson.
He's smart. He's a politician. He's learned how to be a nice politician.
Cross court to McKeskey from 15. He hits it. Paul McKeskey can hit that outside shot. The scouting report says when he's outside, you've got to respect him. You've got to go out after him.
He has a nice touch for a big guy.
Parish guarded by McKeskey. He misses, and Dunleavy comes up with it, and Henderson reaches in, and the foul on Gerald Henderson is 3rd. Now we've got a situation where Henderson has 3 fouls, Buckner has 3 fouls, and Maxwell has 3 fouls with 5:31 to go in the half, and the Celtics are over the limit.
Dunleavy is certainly a guy that bangs the floor a number of times. You take a look in the Milwaukee locker room after a game and watch Dunleavy putting the ice packs on his legs, and he has that bruised left thigh.
He was just one of a number of Milwaukee players banged up that really needed that time off. So Milwaukee with 5 days off. Another player, Harvey Catchings, who is available for duty. He'll be seeing action. And also, Kevin Greavy says his shoulder is much better, and he could see some playing time. As the Milwaukee Bucks now have cut the Celtic lead at one time at 11. It is now down to 8 as they've hit 9 of 10 free throws. Tipped away by Bridgman. It'll still be Boston basketball, and Kevin McHale will check back into the game.
Very stationary on offense, and Casey trying to talk to them a little bit about getting a little bit more movement on the floor. You mentioned a rest. Bob Lanier is certainly the kind of player that needs a few days to get his knees back in shape, and the rest certainly had to help Bob Lanier, even though it doesn't show with his shooting percentage, but he's very, very fluid on the floor.
Sometimes when you're 35 and you're going good, though, maybe you just want to stay right with it, but he'll take the time off. The Bucks had it. We're going to take a timeout now with 5:13 to go in the half. with you. Celtics with a 35-27 lead. And Dick, how has Larry Bird been involved in the Boston offense so far?
So far, he's really only been involved for 20% of their offense. As we indicate here, the circled Bs show you the 2 shots he hit. He hit a jumper from the wing and hit 1 at the top of the circle. The other Bs are shots that he missed on the floor. He's 2 for 9. 44 is Danny Ainge, and that was a pass he received from Larry Bird. He's had 1 assist, and he's had 2 buckets, and he's had several free throws. He's only been responsible for 7 points on the floor out of their 35, so it hasn't been a true Larry Bird performance.
He has just 5 points. Henderson put up a 3-pointer. It drew nothing but air. And so far, Milwaukee shooting just 27% in the game, 9 of 33. And the Celtics 42% as they go inside to Moncrief and he hits it.
That's Sidney Moncrief at his best, Roger. That's the one great dimension he possesses, his ability to score around the basket from the guard slot. He becomes like a forward and a front court player with his great inside play.
That was his first field goal with 4:38 left to go, first half. Henderson goes over to Bird. McKeskey switches off. Larry takes it in, and the whistle. Earl Strom makes the call. Foul's going to be on McKeskey, and that is his second. As ML Carr will check into the game as we take a look at Red Auerbach.
That's a legend, an institution, and
Arnold, as his friends call him.
You just hate to think that it might be coming to the end for Red Auerbach, who's going to step down basically, and Jan Vogt going to take over from what we hear, because Red has been such an institution and a legend here in Boston.
Blocked inside. McHale puts up the follow and in. Kevin McHale with 4 points, and the Celtics 37, the Bucks 29, as Milwaukee's had 43 possessions, just 10 field goals, 9 turnovers, Dick.
If you were to chart their half-court execution, Don Nelson certainly wouldn't be happy. There's Larry Bird running over to give help.
Lister standing way out front. They're trying to get him in illegal defense. It's Marques Johnson. It's his first 2 of the period. Long pass to Parish.
Celtics do that as well as anyone. Get the ball right after a score and throw the baseball pass down the court.
McHale misses, and Bird was still down at the other end of the court that time as the Celtics rushed into their offense. Moncrief posting up on DJ.
Bird certainly given a lot of help on the inside. He's playing McKeskey.
Marques Johnson. McHale gave him too much room that time, and Marques has 8 points. And the Milwaukee Bucks have pulled to within 4. That's as close as they've been in this period. Boy, a low-scoring game. Neither team has played particularly well. And a whistle down on the baseline. Foul's going to be on Marques Johnson as he was trying to keep up with Larry Bird. That's his second.
Larry's so physically tough to play. Watch him work the baseline. Look at him move. Now he bumps Marques. Now he's going to run him into a screen. Marques sees the first screen, runs into Robert Parish, and then he's called for the foul. In the meantime, he has a bruise on his chest.
Bucks are over the limit, so Bird, who is the leading free throw shooter in the NBA, will go to the line, and he has just kept that going as he is shooting better than 90% in the playoffs, Dick. And that's not a bad career for some guys, huh?
He had a great game against the Knicks on Sunday as he missed.
Well, he threw up a brick. That's as bad a free throw as you'll ever see Larry Bird saw.
Roger, I believe he was really charged up because of the Bernard King.
McHale, the whistle.
And Larry's sitting there enjoying it. He's saying, what did you call on me, Paul? Somebody come and give me a little helping hand.
The foul was called on McKeskey. It looked like Lister who pushed Bird, but they give it to McKeskey. That is his third.
I was mentioning a point before about Larry Bird and his performance against the Knicks and Bernard King. You can't tell me that Larry Bird wasn't excited about playing against Bernard King. You have to get charged up when you're playing against a guy that's getting all kinds of headlines. There's Randy Brewer running on the floor from out of Minnesota. A 7-footer, was a teammate of Kevin McHale at Minnesota. But Larry had to be charged up because there's been so much written about Bernard King's great spectacular play. And the one thing about Larry, he's not a spectacular player. He's just a solid, consistent player, but he's not going to be flashy and do all the things in transition as some of the great players in this league will do.
Dick, his flashy moves will usually come on his passing ability, not so much what he can do in the open court, taking the ball inside. But every once in a while, he'll surprise you with some of the things he can do. But you're right, he is not as spectacular on a day-in, day-out basis as a Bernard King.
Or Dr. J.
Yeah. Illegal defense called against the Celtics. So each team has had an illegal defense called against them. Next time, it'll be a technical. Just over 3 minutes to go in the half, and the Celtics lead it by 7.
Nelson set that up. He was screaming about it earlier, and he had Lister trying to isolate, playing way out in the back court, forcing Bird Now Bird's playing Randy Brewer. Got strength against size.
Strength against height. I think that'd be the best way. Lister takes the shot outside, misses it. Bird tips it, and McHale comes away with it. Bounce pass to ML Carr. Good fake by ML. The scoop. Oh, ML Carr.
Showtime. ML Carr, one of the veterans of this basketball team.
That's a flash from the past right there.
He's such a spirited guy. Watching him in the warm-ups, he's a cheerleader, and he's such an emotional lift to this team.
Moncrief is fouled as he takes it up. It's going to be on Dennis Johnson. And on DJ, that's his third. So now Buckner, Henderson, and Dennis Johnson all with 3 fouls. But let's look at a former Piston.
Guilford College. I taught him that move, Roger, on the baseline. A little power layup. I taught him how to hang when I had him there with Detroit. Making me look good, ML. He didn't make me look too good when I was on the sideline.
That's for sure.
Somebody else.
That's for sure. Moncrief, who has now just 4 points, and you can see what he's doing in the playoffs. And 55%, that is good, but it's not unexpected of Sidney Moncrief in playoff action.
He came out of that class in 1979, one of the great classes in the NBA. Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Cartwright, Greenwood, Moncrief, just a great, great class.
Dennis Johnson has done an outstanding defensive job so far on Moncrief. He is 1 of 4 from the floor. He now has 5 points, 3 of those from the free throw line. DJ isolated on Moncrief. The turnaround won't go. Parish, and the whistle from behind. Foul's going to be on Randy Brewer.
Celtics are starting to establish inside position on the offensive board. We had the rebound by McHale a little bit earlier. There's Dennis Johnson in an isolation, one-on-one move, turns, shoots the little J. Parish with good inside position. There's only one thing he can do. Oh, it looks like he gets all ball, but the official says no body.
Danny Ainge just checked into the game. Parish to the line. Chiefs got 4 rebounds and make it 5 points. Before the game, Sidney told me the matchup between, there you see the hot pad going on the shoulder of Dennis Johnson. He said the matchup between him and Dennis Johnson sometimes is a washout. They make each other work so hard. And in this game, DJ with just 2, Moncrief with just 5, and Johnson averaging over 15 points and Moncrief nearly 20 in the playoffs.
I disagree with Sidney from this standpoint. These points are much more vital to Milwaukee than the points of Johnson to Boston.
A couple of former Golden Gophers going at each other as Randy Brewer took it inside on Kevin McHale. They were teammates for 1 year at Minnesota.
Kevin McHale was a senior when Randy was a freshman. I mean, he fouls him 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, and he bangs him and he goes to the line for 2. They played in the starting lineup together during the NIT for Minnesota. Trent Tucker was on that team as well.
Brewer in the playoffs averaging just over 2 points a game as Paul Pressey checks back in. Milwaukee 12 of 13 from the foul line in this game.
Pressey reminds me a lot of Darrell Walker, the New York Knickerbocker player, Roger. I know a lot of people talk about Walker from Arkansas in the same class as Sidney Moncrief.
Moncrief gets it and puts it in, so it turns out to be a 3-point play.
And there's no way you can put him in a class of Moncrief, but he's very similar to Pressey. Long arms, defensively tough, anticipates well, steals the basketball, and certainly a shooter who's a suspect.
Oh, Brewer just nailed Bird in the line. Hey, Don Nelson's got a lot of fouls to waste on his bench. He hasn't gone to Harvey Ketchich yet. Brewer picks up his second.
Marques Johnson fighting Bird. Bird coming off the screen. Brewer just gives him a little shove and then turns and looks at the official and said, who, me?
Nelly loosens up the tie. He might take the coat off before it's over with.
He does a great job on the sideline. I'm hoping he doesn't quit as a coach because I think guys like Nelson and Billy Cunningham certainly are 2 examples of former players who've come into this league and have proven that they can go right to that sideline and with some time become outstanding coaches in this league.
Bird all free throws in the second period, and he's hit 6 of 7. 46-38, 144 left to go. Bird also with 4 rebounds, 3 assists so far as Marques Johnson takes him inside, and that was a strong move by Marques.
That's a major league move. He had him in a one-on-one situation on a baseline. Great change of direction and good body time, and he also utilized the basket really well as another weapon as he went up and under with the reverse layup.
Marques 5 of 6 from the floor. Parish wide open. McHale got it to him, and he puts it in.
Parish gets down that low, Roger. You just put it in the book. You're not going to stop a 7-footer with his touch 3 feet from the goal.
Celtics by 8. They've led by as many as 11. 1:10 left to go. And McKeskey will check in. Bird went for the steal that time. Marques takes it inside. Nearly an identical move as Ainge comes away with it. Bird on the wing. Larry leans off the glass and in. Tough shot by Larry Bird.
That's an all-NBA pro play right there, Roger. He was trying to find a trailer in transition from the wing. He doesn't spot a trailer. He gives an up and under move, gets it up on the glass for the layup.
Marques Johnson. Parish the rebound. ML Carr is down floor. McHale to Bird. The pull-up from 15 hits. So all of a sudden, the Bucks had closed it to 6, and quicker than you can say Larry Bird, the Celtics have it up to 12 with 20 left to go in the half.
Typical Celtic basketball, utilizing the fast break, putting a spurt on the floor.
Well, we'll take a look at that shot chart when we come back after halftime. We'll see some interesting things on it, as Bird has made 5 of the last 6 Boston points. Moncrief, and he is fouled. Fouls on ML Carr. That's his first as McKeskey checks back in.
That was a set call by Don Nelson, trying to get Moncrief down the lane for a one-on-one maneuver. ML Carr on the floor to give him some tough physical minutes, run the court and play some solid defense and put some pressure on Moncrief.
52-40. Moncrief will go to the line. Sidney Moncrief with just 2 field goals in this game, both coming in this period.
I was teasing Lorenzo Romar. How does it feel to be a 6-second player? They're usually for 6 seconds. Heck, he said it feels a lot better being a 6-second player in the NBA than in the CBA.
There you go with those initials again. I think you like this. Lorenzo hasn't even gotten into the game yet. You should have saved that for when he got in at the end of the game. No, he just checked in. I know. It's just 6-second man. Bird long to Ainge. 1 second. It counts.
Larry Bird waves to the crowd. What a tremendous pass to find Danny Ainge, who sticks the open jumper, but the pass made that play.
Ainge finishes up the half with 6. Bird with 14. We're at halftime at the Boston Garden. The Celtics lead the Milwaukee Bucks 54-42. Thank you very much, Greg, and welcome back to the Boston Garden. We're at halftime, a game the Celtics have led from the start. 54-42, our halftime score. The Celtic front court outscoring Milwaukee's 36-19. And, of course, you talk about the Celtic front court, you speak of number 33.
Well, you look at his performance in the first half, Larry Bird, we've charted it, and all the B's that are not circled are missed shots by Larry. Larry was 4 for 11 as a shooter, and he was responsible for 3 assists. An assist to Danny Ainge down the gut, 1 to Maxwell, and the pass, that clutch one to Danny Ainge for the shot. He was responsible, Roger, looking at the chart. He had all good shots for 20 points of the 54, which comes to 37th percentile of the Celtic offense. And if they can be up 12 and have Larry Bird shoot 4 for 11, they're really in great shape.
Also, Bob Lanier just 1 of 7, and you said that some of the shots Bob had were pretty good shots. He just wasn't getting them down.
I didn't think it was anything to do with shot selection. I thought I heard Greg mention shot selection. Naturally, I'm a little prejudiced to Bob Lanier, but I thought they were good shots which just didn't go down. He just was unable to stick that 15-foot jump shot, which he normally puts down because he has a great shooting touch.
So these are a couple of good defensive teams. John Andrews mentioned how the Celtics second behind the Bucks in defense. And so far, they have done a super job as Lister knocks it away, and they were looking for a goaltending call. Dunleavy dropping it off. Maxwell steals it. Parish gets it back, and then Dunleavy commits the foul on the turnover. That is his 4th foul.
That was an excellent block on the defensive end by Alton Lister, who's one of the better shot blockers at the power forward slot. The one problem for Milwaukee, they have not been able to get anything easy in transition. They are not a running basketball team, Roger, but you have to get some easy baskets during the flow of a game to win on the NBA level.
Maxwell gives it to Parish. Knocked loose. Out of bounds. I think Parish was looking for the foul. no call, and then he had to hold Lanier off.
Bob does a great job of popping the ball loose. We saw him do that against Buck Williams in a crucial play during the New Jersey series and converted on the other end after the steal.
Ball was knocked loose as Henderson got caught in the air. Dunleavy to the other end. The left-hand scoop, he misses, and Parish. Now there's a good shot. He just didn't get it down once again. Henderson in the middle to Dennis Johnson on the side. He misses it, and Lanier gives Bird the hip, and the foul's going to be on Bob Lanier. That is his third.
We witnessed 2 opportunities by Milwaukee in transition. 2 times Dunleavy has come up and down the court and have come up empty. Now we look at Boston come back the other way, and then we get the foul. Right there's the bump on Larry Bird. You can't go down the other end 3-on-2, 4-on-3 and come up empty.
No one scored yet. Just underway. Second half action for the Boston Garden. Henderson. And the foul's going to be on Moncrief. That was a tough foul right there. Henderson with not much of a shot. And on Sidney Moncrief, that'll be his second foul.
The one great part of Milwaukee's defense created by Don Nelson, as we look at Casey Jones, a great defensive player during his era, they do a tremendous job of packing inside and giving you the perimeter jump shot. They witnessed, if you watch them against New Jersey, that was their effectiveness. They really caught New Jersey's guards not shooting the ball really well, and Michael Ray Richardson and Otis Birdsong and Darwin Cook. And they do a great job of packing it in and forcing you to try to beat them from the perimeter.
They're really putting a lot of pressure on Dunleavy. That leg's still bothering him a bit. Henderson, extremely quick, has caused Dunleavy some problems bringing the ball up the floor.
Mike's fundamentally solid. He doesn't have the great foot quickness to beat you with the drive to the goal.
Lister with that downhill shot, and Alton Lister with his second field goal. He has 4 points.
Whenever he's involved in their offense and gives them some points inside, they seem almost unbeatable. He had a big game against New Jersey in the 5th game, and
it counts. That's why they call him the rubber band man.
Acrobatic time. Look at him smiling. He's a junk food eater too. You wouldn't believe what he was eating before a game.
I saw
cookies
it.
And
I can attest to it. He had a foot-long roast beef grinder with relish and 2 chocolate milks. And that's what I saw him eat. Who knows what else he was throwing in.
Violates every rule. What coaches talk about as Pressey comes back on the floor. You talk about training, meals 4 hours prior to game time. You talk about carbohydrates and all. And Cedric Maxwell says, forget all of that nonsense. I'm going out to play some basketball. And he doesn't put any weight on.
13 points for Cedric Maxwell, so Bird with 14, Maxwell with 13 to lead the way, and the Celtics have moved it out to a 59-44 lead with 10:08 to go in the third.
They've been very disruptive to Milwaukee's half-court game with their 75-foot defense, where they pressured Dunleavy and they tried to get him out of their rhythm and flow of their half-court game.
Dunleavy, 4 on the shot clock. He hits. Mike Dunleavy, he has 6.
Good ball reversal. They swung it to the weak side. Dunleavy's free for the jump shot. Milwaukee's normally one of the better half-court teams in the league in running their half-court offense.
Marques Johnson, Bird goes underneath and in. Larry Bird now is 16.
Just a defensive boo-boo. You can't allow an offensive player to get inside position on a baseline. Marques Johnson doesn't beat him to the baseline, and he's got the open layup.
Pressey takes it inside, and Paul Pressey has come off the bench to score 8 points.
Excellent drive by Pressey. Takes the ball to the goal with a lot of authority.
61-48. Celtics with the lead as Dennis Johnson drives the lane. Got caught in the air. Dunleavy sends it ahead to Marques Johnson. It's a 3-on-1. Pressey and in. Paul Pressey with 10 points.
Pressey gets the easy layup, but that play was developed and created by Marques Johnson.
Bird to Robert Parish.
And the Celtics do that as well as anyone, Roger. You score it down on the other end, and it's boom, bam, put the deuce in the book, and it's a deuce on the other end of the floor.
There was a little scuffle underneath as Lanier, Maxwell, Dennis Johnson had a few words. And Lanier John with official Earl Strom. Dunleavy wants Pressey to the other side. They want to isolate Lanier down low.
Look at Larry Bird giving help in the lane. Watch 33. There he is in the lane.
Traveling call by Lanier has just had a tough night. And you got to give Robert Parish some credit for that.
Robert Parish for good defense, but also Gerald Henderson taking away Bob's driving angle for the left-handed hook shot coming across the lane.
63-50.
Good team defense by the Celtics. I agree with John Andres about the team defense the Celtics are playing.
Birds flashing the baseline. Dennis Johnson takes it in, blocked by Pressey, and Lanier comes up with it. Dunleavy will take the middle if he can. Drops it off to Moncrief, and the whistle by Earl Strom. And the foul is going to be on Gerald Henderson, and that'll be his 4th.
Lack of communication by Milwaukee in transition. Bob was in great position, Lanier as a trailer, but he doesn't communicate to Dunleavy, who's ahead of him, that he's trailing behind. He would have had an easy layup.
Whistle down low. Foul's going to be on Robert Parish, his 2nd. Dick, you know, in the final 3 games against New Jersey, Milwaukee really picked up their rebounding. They had been beat on the boards, but especially in the last 2 games, very convincing fashion. Was that more or less due to New Jersey shooting in the 30 percentile area, or the fact that really Milwaukee was working harder on the boards?
Milwaukee, I think, got a message from New Jersey early, but again, in all fairness to New Jersey, they claimed they were physically and emotionally drained after that Philadelphia series.
Beautiful play by Sidney Moncrief.
He runs a little shuffle cut off the high post. Great movement without the basketball. Catches the ball. There's nothing like a player. The toughest guy to defend, Roger, is a guy that moves without the ball and runs people into screens. Lister did a good job in that series, neutralizing Buck Williams late in the series.
Bird is fouled on his way inside, and that's the 2nd time he has been able to fake Marques Johnson to the right, spin to his left to the baseline, and take it in.
Marques is playing him to the help area, trying to force him to the middle, and there he is now. He locks, he drops steps, gets on the inside, and draws the contact. Marques is expecting help from the help side, and they're not giving him any help at all as Danny Ainge comes on the floor.
Dennis Johnson will get a rest.
When a guy is beating you to the baseline in a half-court sequence, Roger, you've got to expect help from the other end of the floor and really, really beat a guy to a spot and force him to go to the foul line as opposed to giving him the open layup.
Quinn Buckner has checked into the game. Now, Milwaukee has come out and hit 5 of their first 6 shots here in the 3rd period.
Little better execution out of their half-court game.
Bird now at 18 points.
Notice now how Boston will try and pick up the pace by playing full-court pressure. Buckner does a good job on the basketball. He's not super quick, but he's a very intense defensive performer.
Moncrief, Marques Johnson, Lanier, final 3 games against the Nets. They scored almost 60 points, over 24 rebounds a game, and Pressey is fouled by Robert Parish. Those 3 veterans really picked it up. Marques Johnson did not have a good overall series, but
watch Bob Lanier right now. I mean, is he hooking inside now? Is he holding? He's locking. He's getting his big rear end right into Parish. And there's Paul Pressey hanging around the basket. That's the great advantage of that 6'5" big guard, 6'6" big guard to give you another rebound. But he has a lot of problems on the free throw line.
Paul Pressey, during the playoffs for the Milwaukee Bucks, shooting just 65%. That's a little bit better than he did during the regular season.
He shot 60% during the season on the free throw line.
He gets 1 out of 2, but he's come off the bench 11 points, Dick.
He's done a real solid job. Many of these NBA guys got to really work on their free throw shooting. If Birdsong and Buck Williams would stick to free throws, Stan Albeck could be on the sideline now, and New Jersey would still be playing.
Bridgman will check in at the next opportunity. 8 on the shot clock. Parish, the fall away. Ainge there and puts it up and in.
Danny Ainge seems to be in the right place at the right time tonight, and he converts it. Don't get mad at me, Otis and Buck. You're both great players, but you got to make those free throws.
You're talking like a coach now, Dick.
I know I am.
Got to remember those players are trying hard. Pressey underneath, gets it back outside to Moncrief. Hesitated on the shot. He missed it. Lanier gets the offensive board.
Sidney's a better slashing player than he is shooting that stationary jumper, catching the ball on a wing.
Pressey, he has been the man for the Milwaukee Bucks, as he has now 13 points, and it's 67-55 inside to Parish. Good step by Robert Parish, and he's got 12.
Robert Parish beats Bob Lanier with a great head fake, an up and under move, good pump fake, and has the great first step to the basket. Pressey's certainly one of the most improved second-year players in the NBA. He knows his limitations, Roger.
Moncrief, baseline over Ainge, in and out. Buckner the rebound.
Here they come, 4 on 3.
Ainge will take it underneath. Sends it back outside to Buckner. Quinn wide open from the foul line. Maxwell keeps it alive.
Great hustle by Cedric Maxwell with those long arms. He plays much bigger than his 6'8" frame.
Bird, turnaround, hits. Boy, was that a move?
That's vintage Larry Bird. That fadeaway J. French Lick, Indiana can be proud of the blonde bomber.
20 points for Bird, 71-55. Celtics, and his points just creep up on you, Dick. He's another one of those. How many in the book you put?
Put 25.
Lanier, the offensive board. Bob goes to the deck. Pressey sends it over to Marques Johnson and in.
Good ball movement by Paul Pressey. Recognizes the opening cutting of Marques Johnson, and Marques finishes the playoff.
No basket. Strom blows the whistle out front. Foul's going to be on Paul Pressey, and there's a timeout on the floor.
Roger, before it's all said and done, if he can sustain his performances over a 10-year period, Larry Bird will go down as one of the all-time great forwards in the game. Right now, I go Dr. J and Elgin Baylor, but before it's all said and done, you better find a spot for Larry Bird.
Dick, I don't think you're really sticking your neck out on the line making that comment, partner. 71-57, Celts lead it. Tonight here on ESPN.
Roger, we were talking about offense. There's Dennis Johnson coming from behind. He gets a little piece of the basketball. Great block, and Sidney still converts it, but he gets a piece of it.
Dick, Milwaukee hit 5 of their first 6 in this period, now just 1 of their last 6, so they've really cooled off.
We talk about offensive rebounding. Milwaukee has 10, Boston 9, but the important area, Milwaukee's only been able to convert 4 of those 10, 40 percentile of their offensive rebounds for a total of 9 points, 4 baskets and 1 free throw.
Bird has missed just once from the foul line.
Roger, we talk about the great players. I happen to be a great fan of Elgin Baylor and Dr. J, and I said before it's all said and done, to me, to sign a greatness, you have to sustain it for longevity. In the backcourt, I think it's a lock, Oscar Robertson and Jerry West. And there are people in Boston, as he misses that foul shot, would say it's an automatic Bill Russell in the middle. I'm going with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as the greatest center ever.
Will Chamberlain's my man.
Well, you went to Kansas.
It's all right. 72-57. Just over 5 to go in the third. Bird 10 of 12 from the foul line. Lister, Pressey. Paul takes the shot, misses, and McHale, who's in the game, gets the rebound.
There's no doubt he's the best 6th man in basketball, and he was honored. Bobby Jones certainly has moved over a step. McHale is definitely taken over as the king of the 6th-man role.
Mahalik blows the whistle out top, and it's going to be an illegal defense. So that's the second and the technical on the Milwaukee Bucks.
They set that up, Roger, by simply spreading out the court, isolating a player, and then if the people do not come out with their assigned offensive player and guard them in a specific area of the floor, you have an illegal defense, especially if they're caught zoning up in that 3-second area for a count in excess of 2.9.
Celtics 23 of 26 from the foul line, and Casey Jones gotta like the situation. Here you go. Explain it to us, Dick.
Notice how they're spreading out on offense right now, and there's Milwaukee packing it in. Milwaukee defensively is giving a lot of help as we look at Lister's really not up on McHale.
Ball out of bounds, and checking in for the first time tonight will be Harvey Catchings for the Milwaukee Bucks.
They got him from Philadelphia. He's been playoff tough. He's played a lot of playoff basketball during his career. He's on the floor for 2 reasons: intimidation defensively and blocking some shots. He's certainly not an offensive threat. They're not going to let him on the floor.
He'll check in at the next opportunity.
Boston in a 1-4 set now, isolating Maxwell on a box.
Pressey was guarding him, and that's a mismatch. Cedric Maxwell with 15 points, so a big offensive night. Max during the regular season averaged around 14 points a game against the Milwaukee Bucks. The Celtics' biggest lead is now at 18. And the Milwaukee Bucks want a timeout. Look at Don Nelson.
He's livid. He's talking to Pressey about defensive switches and rotating on the floor.
And he'll talk a little bit more to Paul Pressey. 4:11 to go on the third. The Celtics out in front by 18. Jack McKinney on being named head coach of the Kansas City Kings today. And there you go back in time with the Boston Celtics. Red Auerbach, and boy, they ran off a streak back in the 60s, didn't they, Dick?
Winning all those national championships in the NBA. You talk about, we mentioned Bill Russell. I certainly don't want to malign his great career. He's the greatest defensive force ever in the middle. But when we're talking total offense and defense, I got to believe the edge goes to Jabbar.
All right, 3 on the shot clock. The miss, Catchings tipped it out, and Bridgman, who has just 4 points and 1 field goal. Lanier has just 2 points. So no production out of those two guys, who combined for over 30 points a game against the Boston Celtics during the regular season, as Marques Johnson now has 14.
Strong baseline post move by Marques Johnson. You have to get more productivity out of your center, a guy with the touch of Bob Lanier. He certainly has to be in double figures, and you need scoring out of Bridgman to win.
Bird to McHale. And Kevin was 6, and Bird, he looked like he was going to take that shot, and that just froze everybody.
Tremendous two-man basketball, Bird and McHale. The last great passer in this league who could pass the ball from the wing was Rick Barry when he did it with Golden State, and they won the title with Al Attles.
Bridgman, and they call the foul on Danny Ainge. So far, the free throw line in this period, Boston 7 of 8. Milwaukee has taken just 2 free throws.
We were getting a kick out of Danny Ainge earlier tonight. He said, "Hey, Dick, I heard you shipped me to Utah during the last telecast." Tell him what you said, Roger.
Well, we just, Danny's getting a big jump in salary from about $250 to $400, and, it's been talk about possible trade. Dick mentioned Utah. Danny was a little concerned about that. Not that he wouldn't like to go back, but he is from Eugene, Oregon.
Frank Layden certainly.
But he went to school at BYU. So.
He'd be a great asset down there in Utah, especially Brigham Young supporters would love to have Danny Ainge. But no one read Auerbach. He's not giving up anybody without getting something back.
Well, he could be a great asset for the Boston Celtics. As he said, I just need a little more playing time. McHale, the jump hook, and McKeskey, the rebound. As Milwaukee has hit 17 of 20 free throws, and that's about all they've hit. They sure haven't been hitting it from the floor. McKeskey inside. He's got good position. Puts it up and in.
McKeskey beats McHale to the spot. McHale doesn't beat him to the ball. Gets good inside position, and the end result, he scores.
Marcus guarding Bird. The leaner blocked by McKeskey. And Marques Johnson with a 3-on-2. Missed it. Bridgman in the right place at the right time to put it in.
Easiest deuce that Junior Bridgman will get. Marques Johnson being asked to do it all. He's being asked to play on the defensive end against Larry Bird, and then he's being asked to score 25 up on the offensive end. Marcus, little showtime, hangs in the air, and here comes Junior Bridgman. Pressey keeps the ball alive. Bridgman says, "Hey, look what I found." An easy deuce for the Louisville graduate.
We've had a delay of game warning for the second time against Milwaukee, so that's a technical, and Bird will go to the line to shoot it.
Milwaukee might be doing that deliberately, Roger, to keep them from inbounding the basketball and running it up the court to get that long baseball pass, which Boston is known to do in their transition game.
Robert Parish will check in the game now for the Boston Celtics. And with 2:30 to go in the third, Larry Bird will get a rest, so Casey Jones will give him 2.5 now, 2 minutes during the period, and maybe another minute on the other side, and Bird will get a nice rest right here. He checks out of the game with 22 points as Parish goes right over McKeskey.
Parish with that good baseline hook shot across the baseline.
Marques Johnson baseline and in. Woo.
He looks fresh as can be. He looks like a thoroughbred going up and down the court. If Milwaukee's going to make a run, they better make a run now to get back in this game.
Catchings guarding McHale. Just under 2 minutes to go. Kevin the leaner and the foul. Foul's going to be on Harvey Catchings. That's his first.
McHale with a good pump fake. There's the one. Look at the head fake. Gets Catchings up in the air. And Earl Strom with the call.
Let's keep it right here. Timeout on the floor. 79-67. The Celtics one-time 82-83 season when Milwaukee took 4 straight from Boston. And I know Tiny was let go. His contract wasn't renewed after that. Milwaukee signed him. As Dick mentioned, a good acquisition, but a torn hamstring, and at 34, 35 years of age, you got to figure it might be the end of the road for a guy at 6'1", 1 year led the NBA in scoring and assists.
He was just scintillating when he did that. McHale misses the free throw. I hear Tiny would be a great coach on a collegiate level because he loves kids, loves working with people. I know he really helps out in the New York area.
Boston starters have outscored Milwaukee's starting lineup 61-39, but the Milwaukee bench has kept him in it 28-18.
Boston's defense has been a key here tonight. They've really done a great job neutralizing the half-court game of Milwaukee.
Bridgman from 20. Air ball, and Buckner comes down with it.
That's not the Junior Bridgman that Don Nelson knows.
He's been having a tough shooting night. He averages over 17 points a game against the Celtics during the regular season, shooting better than 54% from the floor, and it hasn't been there tonight for Bridgman. He has just 8 points. Trying to go alley-oop to Parish, knocked loose by Bridgman, and they will jump it between Junior Bridgman and Robert Parish. And Junior says, after my playing days are over, I hope they call me Ulysses, because that's my room.
He's the last player still involved in that trade for Kareem Jabbar back in '75. Other guys in that trade were Winters and Dave Myers and also Elmore Smith. And the big guy that went along with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to L.A. was Walt Wesley, another Kansas guy.
There you go. Maxwell, the spin, hits Cedric Maxwell, giving now 17 points, and it's 82-67. Celtics with that big lead and 105 to go in the third.
Very unorthodox shot by Maxwell.
I told you to quit using those big words, Dick. Marcus misses, tipped out, Maxwell comes away with it. Every shot Cedric takes is unorthodox.
He's certainly what you call a blender. He's the kind of player you need on your lineup. He plays behind the stars. You can't have all stars, Roger. You have to have guys on the floor that are contributors. They're going down to Maxwell. He wants it right now. No, Buckner says, forget it, Cedric. I'm going the other way.
Ainge with the left hand misses, tipped out. And it'll be Boston basketball. Celtics 10 of 17 from the floor. That's 60% here in this third period. Milwaukee 11 of 21 at 52%.
Boston can beat you so many ways. They can beat you passing the basketball, rebounding. They can beat you on a team defensive concept, and they can beat you with the running game.
McHale, the turnaround, and hits Kevin McHale off the bench for the Boston Celtics, giving 9 points, and it's 84-67. That lead up to 17. Their biggest lead has been 18, and Milwaukee with 22 and 16 on the respective clocks.
You can't really classify McHale as a sixth man with all the minutes he plays. He's really a starter, especially when it's crunch time.
10 and 4. Bridgman from 18 hits it. Junior Bridgman, that's his first outside shot.
Junior runs back and he says, "Where have you been, Mr. J? You've disappeared on me, my jump shot."
1 second. It would have counted, but it didn't go. And we've completed 3 periods of play at the Boston Garden. The Celtics leading the Milwaukee Bucks 84-69. We'll be back with the final 12 minutes after this. Thank you very much, Greg, and welcome everybody back to the Boston Garden, where one of the stories tonight has been Bob Lanier with just 2 points. Sidney Moncrief with 11, 9 of those coming in the first half. And Junior Bridgman with just 4 points in the first half finally came up with 6 in the third period for 10. And there's Bob Lanier, who has hit just 1 field goal. He has missed 9 shots from the floor.
Certainly has been a big story. He's had some good shots, especially early. The shot just wasn't falling for Bob. And then we look at Bridgman, and Bridgman certainly hasn't been productive. And we look at the third quarter field goal percentages. Very deceiving. The Bucks shooting 55 and the Celtics 58. And you would think the Bucks are playing good basketball, but they're not playing typical good, solid team half-court basketball like they normally play.
Pressey and Buckner collide, and Quinn's right knee. Quinn Buckner is grabbing his right knee, and he is hurt.
It looked like he collided as Casey Jones comes on the floor.
It looked like they might have cracked knees. Ray Melchiori, the trainer out there.
Bob reverses the ball. There's Pressey. There's the contact. Right knee of Pressey with the right knee of Quinn Buckner.
Casey Jones ran out on the floor immediately. You know, Quinn Buckner, he's been a very durable athlete. He was a former football player at the University of Indiana. The one thing we ought to note here tonight, Celtic guards got in foul trouble early, and they have been getting good play from Danny Ainge and from Quinn Buckner off the bench tonight.
They've been rotating people on the floor like Buckner and Ainge, and as you mentioned, getting productive play from them as Buckner goes to the sideline. Roger, he was drafted in the NFL by the Washington Redskins for his football ability. He's a defensive back at Indiana. Bobby Knight said, forget that football, and put those short pants on. And when Bobby Knight says that, you say, okay, Robert.
Henderson has checked in the game for Buckner as Pressey hits. Now, Paul Pressey with 15 points, and Marques Johnson with 16. Pressey, their second leading scorer.
He's playing under control. That's a good, legitimate 15-foot jump shot. He had a tendency as a rookie to play out of control. Darrell Walker does that with New York.
Ainge, the fake, the leaner, and hits Danny Ainge. He's got 10 points.
Danny Ainge certainly has been quality play and quality time off the bench. Good baseline drive by the Brigham Young All-American.
Lanier has not scored, but he's got 10 rebounds to lead all Milwaukee Buck rebounders. McHale with 6 boards to lead the Celtics. Bridgman, that's his shot out there, and he hits it. So Bridgman has hit 2 in a row now. He's got 12.
Can't hold all good shooters down. It's just a matter of time before they're going to erupt. Bob's got to start to look for his shot again, because I believe the big fella, I've seen him so many times, if he's a slow starter, eventually find that rhythm and that touch.
Parish. Moncrief coming with weak side help. And Pressey the rebound. Bird is back. It's a 2-on-2 with Moncrief, who now finds Bridgman on the side. McKeskey, he is fouled. And the foul's going to be on Larry Bird.
McKeskey, not one of your great leapers in the league, but certainly an aggressive, hustling player. Here comes Milwaukee in transition. Pressey up in the air. Kicks it out to Moncrief. Moncrief over to Bridgman. Bridgman with the short jumper. Hits Arn, and there's Paul McKeskey, all 7 feet of him, and he gets knocked to the deck and goes to the line for 2.
What you got, Jay?
McKeskey now with 7. He's got 4 rebounds.
He was ranting and raving to you and I about Danny Manning. He said he played with that high school All-American during the summer. He said, I couldn't believe he's a high school player.
Parish saves it as McKeskey hits 1 of 2. 86-74. Celtics led 22-17 after the first, 54-42 at the half, 84-69 after 3.
Pressey's playing Bird.
McHale over McKeskey, and McKeskey his 5th rebound.
McHale has a little tough time, I believe, against Milwaukee because of the size they put up against him.
Henderson, and he is grabbed by...
And it goes down!
It went in!
Oh, what a showtime! When that happens, Roger, you simply pack the ball back and say, let's play Thursday night, because it is over tonight.
Let's take a look at it.
There goes Henderson. It's acrobatic time, circus time. He gets tackled. He flips it up. He looks it. Look at him.
You always try to put that shot up, regardless. And he got a little spin on it. He completes the 3-point play.
And Larry Bird becomes the greatest cheerleader, the most expensive cheerleader in the house.
Henderson with 12, and Nelson after that shot says, I got to take a timeout. Milwaukee had got the momentum going their way, Dick.
Milwaukee had a little bit of the flow and offensive rhythm. Good timeout by Don Nelson, because he knows Boston right now is mentally really into it.
The Bucks had outscored Boston 5-2 to start the 4th, but with that 3-point play by Henderson, it's now Roger Twyble, Dick Vitale back with Boston Garden after a Gerald Henderson get-lucky shot, which turned into a 3-point play. We're going to check out Larry Bird's efficiency in the offense.
Roger, in the first half, we charted Larry Bird, and we spoke about his 4 for 11. In the second half, we look at Bird, and he was 2 field goals in the third quarter. When we chart all of the Bs, circled Bs, which are scores, and the number of players, 31 and 44, being Ainge and Maxwell, those are the assists. And on this end of the second half, McHale, and we look down here for a layup also from Larry Bird. He has been responsible for 38% of the offense. He's been responsible for a total of 32 of the points of the Boston Celtics, with his assists 5 and his 6 for 14 shooting and his 10 for 13 free throws.
And he's got 5 rebounds as Lanier misses again. Pressey the offensive board. Off the side of the board, and Bird comes away with it. Rebound number 6 for Larry Bird.
When we talk about charting Larry Bird, we've been charting his field goal percentage and his field goal scoring and his assists. We do not chart his rebounds. If you add that into his totals are just absolutely above the 50 percentile.
Pressey matched up on Bird now. And the whistle. Larry was looking for the foul all the way in that time. It's going to be on Paul Pressey. Mike Dunleavy will check back into the game.
Pressey on him real tough. Pressey's a good defensive player, but Larry Bird slashes. He beats him with that first step. Roger, I'll never forget Oscar Robinson at a clinic. He said whenever a defensive player is playing him and he has that lead foot up, he attacks the lead foot because it's the toughest defensive play to make, to try and reverse and drop step back on a defensive end.
Bird so far in the NBA playoffs for the Boston Celtics, 11 games, averaging 27.5 points per game, 9.5 rebounds, 7.4 assists. And he's got 24 tonight.
The only thing he hasn't done so far, I didn't see him selling any popcorn. He hasn't sold any tickets. He just plays steady basketball, defense, offense.
Bridgman wide open, and that's his shot from about 21 feet outside. Now, Junior Bridgman has picked it up, and he's got 14, and it's 91-76 with 8:55 left to go.
They're going to go right down to Larry Bird. He wants the ball. Bridgman's checking him right now. He's got size. He's got strength on Bridgman.
8 on the shot clock. DJ, the jumper, over Dunleavy, and he hits it. Dennis Johnson. Dennis has been quiet. That's just his second basket. He's got 4 points.
He hasn't been quiet on the defensive end, though, Roger. He's really minimized the effectiveness of Moncrief here tonight.
Moncrief with just 11 points and only 3 field goals. Bridgman, the leaner. And Dennis Johnson, the rebound.
That's another great asset of Johnson, an outstanding rebounder from the guard slot.
That time, Lanier hung back and was able to make the steal off the Bird pass intended for Kevin McHale. Bridgman drops it off to Dunleavy. McKeskey open underneath, and a foul by Larry Bird.
Excellent bounce pass by Lanier. They throw the ball down in the post. They have a good triangle offensively, and Bob reverses it to the weak side to McKeskey. Watch Lanier now bring it to the weak side with a good bounce pass. McKeskey on a power layup takes it up strong, and there's Bird at 6'9", challenging the 7-footer. You can put a dime underneath McKeskey's shoes when he jumps. There's not too much space on the bottom.
He's a hard worker. Del Harris said in Don Nelson's complex defensive scheme of things, he is the best defensive player getting from one point to the other and following that scheme of things.
When you're limited in your skills, you better be a hard worker or you're going to be shipped out of this league. And not too many guys want to be shipped out of here, Roger. They've been known to pay some pretty good bucks working in this league.
McHale wide open from 15. He hits it.
What a flexible player. Inside, outside, block shots, shoot the jump shot. Just a tremendous year this year for McHale after he settled his contract problems.
Moncrief took it strong to Dennis Johnson that time. Moncrief now with just 4 points in the second half. 95-80. 15-point Boston lead. 7:35 to go. And after a sloppy beginning, Dick, Milwaukee with just 13 turnovers. Boston with just 9. It was 8 and 6 at the halves. DJ got caught in the air. He throws it away, and Moncrief on a 3-on-2 finds Dunleavy on the wing, and he missed it. McHale releases to Henderson. 3-on-1. Behind the back to DJ, and in.
Timeout. I'd get a timeout, Nelly. They're ready to erupt. You just can feel it when they're ready to erupt. Little showtime. Parish hugs him and says, Dennis, it's great to have you back in uniform. We missed you that one game you didn't play in New York.
Bob Cousy action by Gerald Henderson.
There's only one Bob Cousy.
7:09 left to go. Celtics lead it by 17. Dick, Earl Strom just walked by and told you you've been talking too much tonight.
I was telling Earl Strom earlier, I said, you keep working as efficient as you are, you're going to get in a class with Garrettson, Madden, and O'Donnell. He said, get in there, class. He said, hey, Dick, I have worked more summers than what you were in the NBA. I said, I know. I didn't get a chance to put the sugar in my coffee. I got shipped out of this league so quick.
Just over 7 minutes left to go in this game. Celtics lead it by 17. Their biggest lead was 18 with 4:25 to go in the third. And three-point land, Dunleavy, he misses it. He came into this game hitting 5 of 6 against the Celtics. Now he's going to split the seam, go in with the leaner, and he finds the range for 2.
Dunleavy, a very smart player, gets in between the defensive people. Lanier kept that alive. He's done a good job rebounding. Bob just has not been a factor shooting the ball. You know, I was teasing Earl Strom, but he's certainly in the class of Madden and O'Donnell. They're the great referees of this league.
McHale. Kevin McHale now with 13 points, and it's 99-82. You know, the Bucks have done a good job, Dick, in the playoffs, holding the opposition under 100. When they have, they're 7-0. Looks like they're going to get held under 100 this evening.
They just have not been able to get any kind of offense at all in the middle of the floor. And that's Dunleavy tonight.
And he gets the drop on that one. So they've looked to him 2 times in a row for the three-pointer. They haven't got it, but Dunleavy has gotten a couple hoops. So instead of 6, they've got 4.
It's hard to believe that no one picked him up earlier, Roger. He's such a plus player, and he just can't hurt you on a basketball floor with all the little things he does for you.
Parish swings it over to DJ, takes it inside, and is stripped away. Halleck makes the call. It's going to be on Dunleavy, and on Mike, that is his 5th. You know, Mike was telling me he got caught in a situation with teams involved in salary caps There were 3 teams that were talking to him: Milwaukee, New Jersey, where Stan Albeck, who coached him at San Antonio last year, and also Dallas. And he thought he was all set to go with New Jersey. Things didn't work out as Bird will sit down, and Maxwell was checked back into the game. So Bird exits with 5:53 to go and 24 points. And so Mike looked to a second career working on Wall Street with a brokerage firm. And when injuries started to hit some teams, Milwaukee put out the call, and Bob Lanier will sit down. And a frustrating evening for Bob Lanier. He's got just 2 points and 11 rebounds.
He's a man of immense pride, and I'll guarantee it, he'll be back storming in here Thursday, Robert Lanier. I was surprised. I thought maybe L.A. would have went after Dunleavy when Magic was injured.
They were interested. They were very interested.
They were over the salary cap, and I guess that presented problems to Jerry Buss and Jerry West.
Also the fact that Byron Scott did finally come around for him. Mike McGee gave him some good play, but L.A. was another team that was interested in Mike Dunleavy.
The Celtics have done such a solid job. If you can just see the help they give to one another. In other words, if you beat a guy, look at the help right now Parish is giving. He's stepping in the lane. I can't emphasize that enough, Roger. When they give help to one another defensively, you invite a player to what we call, you help and then you recover to your own man. You give help on the ball and recover to your own individual you're assigned.
Dennis Johnson from Cedric Maxwell. And DJ all of a sudden was 7 in the period and 9 on the night, and it's 103-84. That's the biggest Boston lead at 19 points. I'll tell you what, Dick, there was no letdown whatsoever after that 7th game win over the Knicks. If anything, an emotional victory that has obviously moved them on to bigger and better things here against Milwaukee. And the whistle outside, foul's going to be on Henderson, his 5th.
Watch Dennis Johnson now run his man into a screen. Look at him. He walks Moncrief right into that screen. Now he bumps him. Look at Sidney caught off McHale. Credit that goal. Don't credit that goal to Mr. Johnson. Credit it to McHale for the screen. I could have made that layup.
Marques Johnson jams one home. He's got 18. 103-86. Less than 5 minutes to go, and some of the confident crowd here at the Boston Garden starting to catch an early train home as we're here at the North Station, Boston Garden, and it counts. Robert Parish takes it in. He's got 16, and he'll go to the line to try to complete the three-point play as the Celtics have hit 29 of 34 from the foul line.
Look at the mobility of a 7-footer, Roger, taking the ball strong to the basket, and he shields off the defensive player with his left hand. He converts it, but he turns and he looks for that little nod from the official. Some people might say he pushed off with that left hand.
Romar's checked into the game. Randy Brewer also in, and I think Don Nelson has called it a night for the Milwaukee Bucks as they are down by 19 with 4:36 left to go. And Robert Parish now with 17 points. He's got 4 rebounds. And the Celtics, their biggest lead, 106-86, 4:30 left to go in this basketball game. First game of the Eastern Conference Championship Series. And, of course, the winner of this one will play the winner of Phoenix and Los Angeles. The Lakers lead that series 1-0. Second game is later tonight. Dennis Johnson comes away with it. Henderson loses it, gets it back, and they're going to call traveling.
Celtics run that great fast break. When they run that front wave and they get the ball on the sideline, they're always sending cutters down the gut of the defense, right down the lane. And they recognize Henderson, but he comes up with a foul.
They're leaving Romar open. He'll take it inside now and in.
He gave them some good basketball during the middle of the year when they were struggling from their point guard slot. Nelson inserted Romar into the lineup, and he got some solid performances out of him.
McHale, the jump hook, and the nice touch by Kevin McHale. He's got 15 points. Boy, the Celtic front line really eats up the Milwaukee Bucks as Marques Johnson tries it from three-point land.
You're talking about the best front court in basketball, Roger. I don't think anybody in basketball can possibly match the front court play of McHale, Parish, Bird, and Maxwell.
And McHale is fouled by Sidney Moncrief. And checking into the game will be the Celtics' #1 draft pick from Brigham Young University. That's 6'11" Greg Kite. And And Robert Parish will sit down. Parish with 17 points. Now, Bird sat down with 24. Maxwell has 17 and McHale 15. That's production from your big men, Dick.
The starters did a great job here tonight. They accounted for most of the points, the majority of them, and did a tremendous job for Boston. The playing time is going to increase for your starters during the playoff times, Roger. There's no time to rest, and you're not going to see guys sitting on the bench as much as they do during the regular season.
Danny Ainge has checked into the game, and also Kevin Greavy has come in now for the Milwaukee Bucks as Sidney Moncrief will sit down. So Don Nelson, they'll go back to the hotel, work out tomorrow, figure out what they've got to do on Thursday night. And Dick, we talked about it before. We felt if there was a game they could win here, this would have to be it.
We thought so. We would think that the emotional lift would certainly be in favor of Milwaukee, with Boston coming off that real high, beating New York. But Boston's such a solid basketball team, Roger.
Pressey, and he missed the jam, but he's fouled by Kite. McHale with 7 rebounds in the game to go along with his 16 points. Cedric Maxwell checks out. Max had a big night. He got him off to a good start, Dick, with 7 points in the first period. He ended up with 17, and Don Nelson, he's looking at his press pass, you know, the pass that gets him into the game. And
he's thinking every moment on that sideline. Believe me, he's a solid leader. But Maxwell did establish a good rhythm right out of the gate. They went to him. He scored early. You know, Roger, everybody says, if you talk to basketball people, they say, let's get the preliminaries out of the way and let's go Boston and L.A. And everybody's practically conceding the title to L.A. But remember one thing, if it does happen, Boston has the home court advantage because they had a better record than L.A. And they're pretty tough to beat on this floor.
This will be the 13th consecutive victory. And Dick, they're not just beating people by 5 or 6 points. They are blowing people away here at Boston Garden. The Knicks came in here 4 times and just got wiped out. There was a lane violation there on McHale, so Pressey got the extra free throw. But Kevin Greavy, he's had a badly pinched nerve in his shoulder and his neck area and his left arm, and hasn't seen much playing time. The foul's going to be on Greavy. Dick, I want you to do something for me as Paul McKeskey checks back in now. We've got the Preakness coming up this weekend. And Thursday night, I want you to give me your winner, because I know the Derby you picked Althea, and she's still running.
That's the only horse I knew was running. I don't follow the horse game, Roger. I kept hearing about this Althea, and it's Sonny Werblin of the New York Knickerbockers, who I was in the office, the head of the Madison Square Garden. I heard him talking about this Althea, so I thought that would sound good.
Dennis Johnson makes the free throw. Dennis had just 2 points coming into the final period. He now has 10 as Carlos Clark checks in. Scott Wedman checks into the game. Wedman got a couple of big hoops for him against the New York Knicks on Sunday in that 7th and deciding game. But let's give Dennis Johnson a lot of credit. We talked about it at the top, the job he did on Sidney Moncrief, who scored just 13.
You said he had 2 points going into the last quarter, and now he ends up with 11, but they were the biggest 2 points of the night because he established defensive tempo. His play is so contagious to people around him, the way he's always aggressively tipping the ball, playing the passing lanes, and he does so many good things for you on that defensive end that are vital to winning.
Brewer misses the turnaround, and M.L. Carr comes down with it.
M.L. was a roommate at Guilford College with Lloyd Free. What a combo they must have been together.
Now known as World Free.
Right, exactly.
2:23 left to go. Wedman from the side. And Pressey, who's done a super job for Don Nelson off the bench in this game, going to be off Dennis Johnson. And Carlos Clark will check into the game. He's a 4th-round draft pick from Ole Miss.
They're really high on Carlos. They think Carlos, if you talk to the players, Dennis gets a nice ovation, get a solid. He can play for me anytime he wants, Roger. I'd love to have a Dennis Johnson on my team. But, you know, Carlos Clark, you talk to the players, they say he's so impressive during the workouts, and they think he's going to be a good big guard contributing to this team in the future.
They say he's not afraid to pull the trigger. Wedman isn't either as he hits it.
Wedman knows he's not getting too much PT, and he's going to touch the rock, and the rock is going right to the hole.
113. 92. Greavy misses, and Kite the rebound. Casey Jones really likes Greg Kite, too. He says he's got a good NBA body.
He has an NBA body. He fouls a little bit when he's on the floor. He's not afraid to bang some bodies. He doesn't look as big. He doesn't look like 6'11", but they say he is.
Scott Wedman.
Wedman's been on the floor about 14 seconds. He's taken 3 shots already.
Romar and the roll gets it to go.
This is called stat time right now. This is garbage time. Let's get a little stats, get a little sweat.
Danny Ainge calling out a play. I think they want to isolate Carlos Clark. They get it to Kite down low. The hook, the tip. Kite gets it back. And the foul is going to be on Randy Brewer. This was a fun time for the coaches, right, Dick?
No, it's fun time only for the coach that is on the W side. The coach that's on the L side, there is no fun at all. Maxwell is still laughing, having a ball. He's happy for one thing, that he's not looking at Bernard King. He has a great shooting. Look at Chiefs. McHale, he's talking. He's always talking.
McHale, he's talking to Kite.
He talks more than Dick Vitale.
He said, Kite, you're 1 of 1 from the foul. Now 2 of 2.
Parish looked bored with the whole evening.
Well, he wasn't bored while he was in there. He had 17 points, 7 rebounds. It's 117-94, just over a minute to go. Reevy off the glass. Brewer puts it up and in.
Randy Brewer can turn out to be a good contributing player. He's going to have to go work on the Nautilus or work on some weights and get that body a little bit stronger to take the pounding in this league. Nice pass. Carlos Clark with an excellent move without the ball. Mississippi. He played in the league that was dominated by Dale Ellis during that era from Tennessee. Charlie Barkley, the human spaceship from out of Auburn.
McKeskey, strong move, won't go. Well, they love Carlos Clark. They always like the 12th man when he can get in. And the crowd cheering for Carlos to take another shot. You think he will? Why not? 24 seconds left to go. And the misery is almost over for Don Nelson and the Milwaukee Bucks. And, you know, he doesn't show a lot of emotion in defeat or in victory. And we'll, of course, be back here Thursday night to see Game 2 and see what happens. See if the Milwaukee Bucks can shake off this loss. And that'll be a 7:30 tip-off.
You don't get as far as Milwaukee without having a lot of pride, and they're going to come back here and really challenge Boston on Thursday.
I'll tell you, you see some good Showtime basketball in the closing seconds. Clark with a real nice block on Lorenzo Romar taking it in. Just 14 seconds left to go.
Reevy played on the Washington team when the Fat Lady did some singing for Dick Motta back in 77.
Yeah, he was a real contributor on the team.
He averaged about 17 points a game on that basketball team. Good left-handed jump shooter.
Danny Ainge. Wedman. And that'll do it. The Boston Celtics win the first game of this Eastern Conference Championship Series against the Milwaukee Bucks. Final score, Celtics 119, Bucks 96. And we'll be back.